the student bodies begin to revolt against everything our nation stands for. Many people are calling this a shocking revelation after seeing the condition after debate.
Live in a time of pure ignorance, fear, incompetence, and compromise. Not just as a society, but in humanity, as Dr. Cincinnati describes the situation of the young people in America who are willing to bear.
It's like our humanity is disregarded in the school and senseless gen. No, they're not human. They are programmed to be the generation that falls into major minorities of that unreturned government. We are in ground zero, as many administrators claim. It seems that the withdrawal resulted in a still state of all stance.
Has recently been enforced.
Compromising. Be the presidential candidate to represent the new
These
political
individuals
party, the Berettas. Following the storm that's happening, select.
We are now in a state of ruin beyond what the Great Depression was.
We are now in a shutdown. Ladies and gentlemen, solar storm. And there is a vid. Now pray. As the Wi-Fi shuts down, we must face ourselves.
This is the creature there has never been. They never knew it, and yet nonetheless, they loved the way it moved, its suppleness, its neck, its very gaze, mild and serene. Not there because they loved it. It behaved as though it were. They always left some space, and in that clear, unpeopled space, they saved it lightly reared its head, with scarce traces of not being there. They fed it, not with corn, but only with the possibility of being. And that was able to call for such strength, its brow put forth a horn. One horn. Whitely it stole up to a maid, to be within the silver mirror, and in her. This is for the artist, the lovers, and those who struggle to bring this creature that people never understood. The creature conceived by one's mind is called imagination. To those who now can say why it happened, which maybe in the end is the best explanation for why it did. It all began with an idea that can either thrive or strive, that of the one who conceived and wielded it.
You darkness that I come from, I love you more than all the fires that fence in the world. For the fire makes a circle of light for everyone, and then no one outside learns of you. But the darkness pulls in everything, shapes and fires, animals, and myself. How easily it gathers them, powers and people, and a great presence may be moving near me. I have faith in nights.
She sat just like the others at the table, but on second glance, she seemed to hold her cup a little differently as she picked it up. She smiled once. It was almost painful. And when they finished, and it was time to stand, and slowly, as chance selected them, they left and moved through many rooms. They talked and laughed. I saw her. She was moving far behind the others, absorbed, like someone who will soon have to sing before a large assembly. Upon her eyes, which were radiant with joy, Light played as on the surface of a pool. She followed slowly, taking a long time, as though there were some obstacles in the way, and yet, as though, once it was overcome, she would be beyond all walking and would fly. Olive? Olive, are you okay to talk?
Depends.
Oh, Marcus told me what happened.
If you're referring to the double shot of espresso in my grasshopper mocha with protein milk, then the man is a genius, knowing his client woes through drink orders.
And you wonder why I don't drink the hot bean juice?
Lack of faith in humanity, even though the drink keeps everyone afloat?
It makes me question it even more given the current circumstances.
I just don't get it, Rainer.
Don't get what?
How is it? Why? Why? I tried to be original and thought-provoking, and every other matters people just... Why do we live in such a time as this? That everything has to be nitpicked and criticized in every aspect of what I and so many others write. Not to mention that it's okay to be in a travesty of a setting, but when things are different in the name of moral compass, they throw stones with the risk of being cut up themselves. Isn't that the point of writing a dystopia? To show the bad even when the times are bad? Or in a suspense romance between outcasts
Whoa, slow down there, Miss Olive. Slow down. Deep breaths. In and out. Good. Again. In and slowly out. There you go. Now, let's just sit down and talk about this.
Isn't that why you're here in the first place?
Well, mostly for your beautiful garden, with its caretaker to match.
Shut it. Friends don't lie.
Well, who said I would? Anyways, I've been meaning to talk to you about the materials I've read.
This is what life was like in the 1900s, particularly from the 30s all the way to the 90s, long before tech. Before we close for the evening, I want to give a note to those in the rural area to be aware of those who are let go of from the state prisons. According to Dr. Cincinnatus, she said the following: they believe that many of the most delinquent of prisoners, mostly those who committed handout crimes as teenagers, have as much of a chance to live as their age group. My heart is broken that this decision was made with no consideration for the people who are now in more danger than they already are. Lord knows how much chaos is already implanted without the great fence keeping the coyotes and their packs back. But to add scoundrels and those unfit to society makes me think that members of the mothball ponies and dog show associates didn't think about the citizens that invest in the retirement home they call the Supreme Court. One we pay for the residencies there, unfortunately. And by giving in, a generation is degraded with no apathy, and many have lost their lives as a result of. Many of them would wear to see how far we have fallen. Yet, on a positive note, my dear listeners, you may find the code in Volume 532. I repeat, Volume 532. I'm DJ Multicolor Miller Marco Montana, and we stand for the dignity we all have left.
Never laugh at live dragons. Tolkien should have mentioned coyotes. Terrorize sympathizers, and God knows what they stand for. Ignorant, self-centered, sloth. Who's there? I know someone
If
is.
you're unarmed, light this forsaken mess of a building up. Otherwise, put me out of my misery.
What makes you think I'm unarmed?
I should be the one asking the questions.
Well, ladies first, as they say.
Oh, my. We got a comedian in the house. I like you already.
Are you hoping to be unalived by the first person who walks in, or am I just lucky?
I make my own luck, Jolene.
That's not my name.
Well, you sound like one. And it probably broke a few hearts. Or many.
What makes you think that luring me with your charm would get me to satisfy you after your time?
What in Sam Hill are you talking about? Is this some new trend I don't know about? If that's so, put the phone away.
How should I know? I haven't been active on what's known as a trend is. And I don't have a smartphone on hand.
What? Had you been under a rock or something?
You can say that. You could say it was more of a concrete box.
Wait. Are you an escaped or released convict?
Again, do you want an excuse to get shot?
It's just a simple question. If I kill you like that...
Okay, fine. I was in juvie. Transcended into state penitentiary after turning 21. And only been there for a day until the weird release announcement over an intercom.
Oh? And what did they say?
Only that all and old prisoners who were tried unjustly based on their young age range should go free, regardless of their crimes. And when all hell broke loose, I had to flee from every potential man, and surprisingly, women from...
My, there is a filter in you, isn't there, Jolie?
My name is Ava. Ava Matthews.
Sounds exotic.
Shut it. Whoever you are, just shut.
Daniel Moore.
Well, are you planning on killing me or not, Mr. Moore?
Mister? Am I really that old now? Guess they were right about the Zers looking older.
Wait, how old are you? And by all means, answer my original question.
21. Same as you. And after this dance, suppose you wouldn't mind helping me up.
Again, I'm armed.
Yeah, with a temper and a possible thick stick or pipe in your hand, then I'll be out and gone faster than a stupid kid say Skibbity Toilet, Ohio.
It is said even a woman can kill a man with a shoe. And what kind of stupid language?
As long as they're US made and not cheap Chinese or child labor India made, do your worst. As for the language, they're not what they are.
What generation is so incompetent then?
Alpha.
Why does it now sound worse using the Greek letter for A than the dominating entitlement? Since when did they become isolated simpletons with too much power?
Sounds like you encountered a few of them.
Unfortunately, yes. I happened to pass by this area by an academy, and these 3 boys, no more than 7th or 8th graders, approached me, and all they talked about was who they...
Yeah, nope. Say no more, or I know exactly what you mean by what they planned to do.
What happened to childhood innocence?
Says the one who got locked up.
Pot, kettle, black.
The truth matters.
Your point?
Easy, my lady. Just trying to make the truth as blunt as well as light.
Oh, sure. Trying to be sweet. Only to strike
Joel.
when...
Sweetheart, if I wanted to do something to you, I'd be gone across to the other side by now if I could. But at this point, the truth is negotiable.
How'd you know that?
Know what?
That phrase. The truth is negotiable. The only phrase that comes from was from someone who was...
The Vardis Knights. Yup.
Are you a member of that party?
Well, yes and no. I was briefly part of a prisoner's book club gang called St. George's. We're tougher than a boot's tongue, but our intelligence...
So are you a junior member of the Prager wannabe gang or something?
I don't know about the junior member, but I was the youngest member entering the gang. And before I was released, I was given the badge of honor of St. George's Mark.
The prison tattoo, you mean?
Well, yes, but if you come closer, you
The
can
fine symbol inspired of St. George and the dragon fighting? I've seen it before.
Oh? There's a female division in the prisons.
What if I were to tell you that the penalty for knowing such information is...
As much as you want to kill an unarmed and injured man, I know you don't have the capability at this point.
Tell me then, Doctor. What ails me then?
All prisoners in the category are never given a weapon, only what they were brought or shabby clothes. Besides, you wouldn't stand the chance, even if you survived that band of guys who wanted to beat a rip in.
Okay, first of all, stop. And second, how can you be so sure of that?
The way you breathe, stand, shows you are as such.
Yet I was locked in for killing a classmate.
Oh, you too. Were you the result of a bad decision by a parent?
Were you?
Come on over toward, and I'll be the judge of that. Well, how would you react if I'm a bit disappointed that you are an angel, but not one of death to take me away?
Trying to be charming, huh? Guess what? We're in the end zone. And if this is how flattery is nowadays, then we are screwed if we... I'm trying to survive this screwed up world, okay?
Did you expect that Jane Austen's McDarcy-inspired way of saying light up or snuff me out in this screwed up world, as you called it?
Points for my performance. But I prefer to see the face of one who's called me a death angel.
By all means. Is a light of any sort on hand, Jolene?
Ava.
Oh. Like what you see.
If thinking I'll be flattered by a man with a gaping wound in the middle of an abandoned Christian center, then you must have a concussion.
Spleen area, actually. Personally, I'm not into anthropology. At least, I think that's what... Anyways, what will it take if I ask if you can stitch me up?
If you're thinking of...
Oh, whoa there. I don't even kiss on first dates, a lady. Haven't even had my first kiss yet. Unless you want to be my first.
Again, not optional.
Jesus, you're a hard woman to negotiate.
Tell me a practical skill that you can do, and I shall consider it.
The only skill I can attain is drawing. Give me a pad, paper, and, well...
What? Nothing else? No Boy Scout skills or any form of protection? Especially from those coyote rangers outside?
Only my presence and my Picasso impressions. I can fight when needed. Me alive and by your side, you'll have a better chance of surviving without being captured and tasted like the forest fruits and left alone and present. Otherwise, those Mad Max wannabe schmucks will be after you faster than a greedy fat kiddo running for church donuts after Sunday school.
You have a point. But no funny business. No closeness, and this doesn't mean we're friends.
Unless you want more, just...
Is your head ever out of the gutter?
Only when you're the first gal I've seen since I was 14. And in case you're curious, and again, 21.
Do we have a deal? No strings, no funny business, no standards. Just accomplices. Don't shake. Unless you mean it. Alright then. I suppose you have a needle and thread, or do your 14-year-old resource brain?
There's a first aid kit on the table behind me by the radio.
And why haven't you reached up and grabbed it yourself?
And risk bleeding to death and be yet another bloodshed on holy ground.
We're in a Christian center, not a church.
The alumni of this center may beg to differ. From the looks of the pictures, memorabilia, and other crap. This center was once well loved, until many explorations for the Me Too movement and other matters exposed so many pervs. And before you ask, I did a little digging through the files left behind while lying low here. Even found a huge pile of I kissed dating goodbye books.
Do you mean these? They look like if they survived a book burning.
The fact they did not survive a burning can't say the same for inside.
Say hello to your repercussions? Take back your weapon apricite, version hypocrisy, and... Oh, this is that... And, okay.
Yep. Guess someone wanted to illustrate for the sex ed Christian edition, the junior and high schooler way.
Okay, here we are. And there's a needle and thread in here as well.
I know. I was sewing my favorite jacket before your admirers ambushed the center. A straight bullet took me down.
They're not. So, why did you bunk here? More importantly, how did you escape those perving raiders?
Best place to hide, thanks to the recommendation of a trail angel.
A trail angel?
Yeah, a trail angel. Good Samaritans who usually help hikers and wayfarers, leaving water pitchers, some food, and a hidden map, well hidden from Raider Kite.
Did it go through?
If so, sunshine, I'd paint the floor like that of a Christmas butcher shop with my blood.
Okay. I don't need the imaginary. Just don't.
Sorry. My mom always said I had a hyper imagination. Look, I'm going to need you to use the fishing wire and prep for when the wound needs to close. But for now, you need to clean the pliers with alcohol and sterilize it with your cigar lighter.
I don't see any alcohol in this kit.
Okay, listen to me. In my jacket pocket, there's a flask with enough liquor to clean the wound and the pliers.
Holy mother. Ugh. What is this? Cat piss?
Don't know. I pulled it off the body of a hanging member, but
Wait, you stole this from a body?
yeah, whoever he was, what's he going to do with it in his state? He was one of those reversal ascenders that some band of weirdos called traitors, according to those raiders. Was sprayed with so many pastel colors, it felt like a Candyland surprise attack.
I heard about those people. They're what the...
Relax. It's the heat pounding and pulling the tin roof. If I were bleeding on the spot, I wouldn't mind those.
It was a reaction. It's just... Let me light this thing up. So, why did they send him hanging there?
Not sure. All that was around the neck of the individual was a sign that said, Basic Big W Bet. Cringed to the Lulu Veritas, Skibbity, Ohio. Slay and so woke forever.
Okay, that's just an insult to the human language. Even I felt unclean hearing that.
The fact they took the time to write it and place it on a body they hung is beyond me.
Do you have something to bite onto?
My jacket would have to do now. So, have you done this before?
No. But I see that we have no other choice in this situation. Now do we?
No, suppose not. Alrighty then. Ready?
One, two.
3!
much do you get?
I read your story thoroughly, and first of all, thank you for sharing this with me. Your confidence in me is very noticeable.
Thanks, Rainer. Even if you have to... I mean, I know it's an enemies to lovers kind of trope.
However, I cannot discuss the contents of this for any attempt at criticism. It's like being foreign to me, you know?
What? But Rainer, you said you would... Isn't that what friends are for? Critiquing honestly? Being blunt in the matter?
Nothing touches a work of art so little as words of criticism. They always result in more or less fortunate misunderstandings. And coming as a friend is already a risk for all. And from what I've seen, you only experience from afar and not true worth of your own.
Okay, then. Elaborate.
Well, things aren't always as tangible or seeable as other people usually have us believe. Most experiences happen in a space that no word had ever entered and are more stable than all other things. They're works of art, those mysterious experiences whose life and doors are beside our small world.
A little more context, please, for us simple mortals.
I'm saying this with as much care and love as possible, but you, my dear friend, have no style of your own. Although, experiences do have silent and hidden beginnings of something personal. This is mostly clear in your beginning draft. Here, see? Right there. Something about your own is trying to become a word and melody. The snarkiness is seen through Ava and Daniel, respectfully.
But isn't intensity between a potential couple what draws people into a story setting?
Not always, you silly goose. Given, that sounds indeed originated from stories most of the time. There is something that you're missing in the question.
And what might that be?
You asked me whether your stories are any good. You also asked others before we met, weeks ago. From what I could tell, you also sent them to online contests. You compare them to other storytellers and content creators, and from what I've been told beforehand by Marcus, you are upset with your current editors who reject the viewpoint of your writing.
I just want my freedom to write without scrutiny. I want to know if I am good at this and worth the people's time to read it.
Do you want my advice, girly girl?
Yes!
Then I must ask you, no, beg you, to stop writing.
What? Stop writing? But to quote the one letter of the alphabet, why?
You were looking outward, and it is what you should avoid most at this point in your creative season, sweetheart. No one can advise or help you. No one. There is only one thing you should do. Go into yourself. Find out the reason to command you to write. See whether it has spread its roots into the very depths of your heart and soul. Confess to yourself whether you would have to die if you were forbidden to write.
I do recall feeling like drowning when I couldn't do writing for a time. It's as if my it demanded release from the confusion of this world and all of my alone time as a single author, I hate that everything has to be kept in my head.
Yes, creativity is the riddle of all things of the human essence. But most of all, ask yourself in the most silent hour of your night, must I write? Dig into yourself for a deep answer, and if this answer rings out and rises, if you meet this solemn question with a strong, simple I must, then build your life by this necessity. Your life, even into its humblest and most indifferent hour, must become a sign and a witness to this impulse. Then come close to nature. And then, as if no one had ever tried before, try to say what you see and feel and love and lose. Don't write love stories. Avoid those forms that are too facile and ordinary. Based on experience, they are too hard and traditional for this evolving day and age.
And then what? What I need to do by then?
Save yourself from these common themes and traditions and write about the everyday gifts that life offers you. Describe your sorrows and desires, the thoughts that pass through your mind and your beliefs and some kind of beauty. Describe all of these with heartfelt, silent, humble sincerity. And when you express yourself, use the things that are around you, images from your dreams and things that you remember.
Dreams are for the poor, which I am pretty much dirt poor.
No, you mustn't blame your poverty on this one, for you have no one to blame but yourself. Admit to yourself that you are not enough of a writer to call for its riches, because for the Creator, there is no poverty and no poor. Both are completely different places in life. Even if it seems like a prison to you, whose wallet is none of the world's sounds, wouldn't you still have your childhood? That beyond all, that treasure of memories. You must rise from the sinking feelings of the past, for your personality will grow stronger. Your solicitude will expand and become a place where you can live in the twilight, where the noises of other people pass by far from a distance. Then, you will not think of how others judge you or your work. The only advice I could give you is this. Go into yourself and ask the question of whether you must create this or not. And when you know the answer is accepted, move forward with it as your tool and weapon of choice. Without interruption, you will perhaps discover that you are called to be an artist. Then take it upon yourself and bear it towards burden and its greatness without ever asking what might come of it from the outside. This will be what you sow from it. But after the descent into this self-discovery and into your solicitude, you will perhaps have to renounce being a poet. Now, remember what I said. Before you go jumping to conclusions, one feels one could live without writing, then shouldn't have to write at all. Even writing can become a dangerous form of idle addiction if not managed correctly. Nevertheless, even then, this self-discovery that I ask of you will not have been for nothing. You will find your paths. That I can assure you.
And what do I do once I find this path?
That is an excellent question. My advice to you is to keep growing silently and earnestly, so that while you're developing, you cannot disturb it any more violently than by looking outside and waiting for the outside answers to questions. Only you can, after a moment away in the quiet.
I'll take that into consideration. I need a walk anyway. Thank you, Rainer.
The pleasure is all mine. Always.